On today's episode of the Best of Raleigh podcast, we are diving into a subject that I am so passionate about, helping women. And I have Amy Smith with me, who is the executive director of the Women's Center of Wake County, which provides necessary resources for single women facing homelessness. These resources include food, hygiene, clothing, medical care, education, and housing to help provide stability in a very unstable situation. And I am so excited to have you here, Amy. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm just thrilled to be here and share with all of the folks that are viewing and listening to your podcast the work that we do.
Welcome to the Best of Raleigh with your host and real estate expert, Gretchen Coley, owner of the Coley Group. This show is all about the people and places that make the Raleigh area so special. Here's your host, Gretchen Coley.
Well, it's such an important work that you do, and I was introduced to the Women's Center of Wake County by being on the board of the Realtor Giving Network, and that has been such an incredible place for me to be able to get involved in ways with some incredible organizations. And then several members of my team have gone over a couple times and volunteered at the Women's Center, and they come back completely filled up when they volunteer. So tell me a little bit about the Women's Center.
Certainly. So the Women's Center of Wake County, we see on average about 100 women each day that are experiencing homelessness. Each day we provide 2 meals. So we provide breakfast and lunch each day. We also have snacks available for them. And then while they're there, we have case managers that help them with housing navigation, help them with anything from vital documents, getting those vital documents secured, and then really helping them navigate the homeless system in Raleigh. So it's really a much larger system than I think a lot of people imagine, and directing the women towards the appropriate overnight shelter that is the best fit for them is probably the most important step towards safety and stabilization when they come in initially.
I totally agree with that. I think it's so scary to be homeless in the first place, but to be a single female homeless as well just adds another layer to it. And all the services that you provide are so crucial to them. And, just in going through the Realtor Giving Network and interviewing some of the other partners that you work with, who we're going to talk about a little bit later, you really find that we live in a bubble. And we don't realize how dire the need is in this market. We get in our cars, we drive to work, we go send our kids to school, and there are women out there fighting such a battle. So why breakfast and lunch?
So breakfast and lunch are provided each day because we are the only day shelter in Raleigh. So we provide that because no one else in the Raleigh area provides that, just for single women. We are, like I mentioned, the only day shelter specifically for single women. There are resources for the broader community experiencing homelessness, but in order to foster a sense of safety for the women, we want to have a safe place for them, because a lot of our women, more than 91% of the guests that we see each day, report some type of history with trauma, sexual abuse. So we want to be able to cultivate an area where they feel safe and secure, and they are in a community. And honestly, it's volunteers like folks from your team and the Raleigh Realtor Giving Network that help make the services that we provide every single day to the women possible.
How long have you been with the Women's Center?
I've been there just over 1 year. I started in July of 2023. And during that time, we've gone through, I think, a good bit of growth and change, and we're really excited about what the future holds for the Women's Center.
So why are you passionate about this? What did you do before? Because I'm always so curious to hear how you land in a position like this doing such good work.
So before this, I was the director of philanthropy for a conservation group. So I went from protecting trees and land to protecting and working with people. So it was not necessarily a straight line to get where I am. But, caring about people and places are really important. And I think being from Raleigh, I've been here since I was 5, it's really important to me to be able to give back. The organizations I've been in before have really been statewide organizations, and this is really my first chance to work very locally here in Raleigh.
That's so interesting. And what a great work you're doing. I'd love to hear some happy stories about some of a woman or some women who've come through and gotten the help that they needed to find stable housing.
For sure. We had one just visit us earlier this week. It is probably, I think, one of our greatest success stories. She worked with a team and found stable housing and is now working 2 part-time jobs to maintain that housing. She is committed to maintaining her housing long term, and she was there, like I said, this week and told us that, this was a huge part. The Women's Center services, they were a huge part of how she was able to be housed and still maintain her housing. We're bringing online some aftercare support for the women that we house because we really want to invest in them and make sure that they maintain their housing. So we're able to, bring in community partners for things like that are able to do some of the support groups for them.
So I love that because I think it's so important to give people a hand up, not a handout. And I think when you're dealing with women who have been through trauma, or anyone who's been through trauma, but women specifically, there's so many layers that there's so many missing pieces that the support services and the educational and community piece of it are really, really important. And, I was a child of trauma. I grew up in poverty. We were in unstable housing pretty much my entire childhood. And so I know what that feels like. And I, watched my mother deal with that and very difficult systems to navigate. So tell me about some of the programs that you're doing while you have women that are just coming in for the day shelter. And then I'd like to transition into how that transitions into after they're in housing.
Absolutely. So we rely on a huge number of partners in order for us to be able to deliver the services and kind of our promise to the women that we work with. So partners like Advanced Community Health, they're on site Monday and Tuesday, providing behavioral health care for the women. They're also there on Tuesdays providing physical health care exams in their large bus. So if you drive by on Tuesdays, you'll see the advanced care bus outside. We also rely on partners like Green Chair Project.
We love them.
Yes,
they were on the show.
They're amazing. But they help us as we get women settled into housing. They provide the furniture that they need. Other partners include the newly found Cooper Foundation. So the Cooper Foundation has helped us with women that we are housing they will provide first month's rent and some help with utility and other security deposits and really make the housing possible. But while the women are with us during the day, we really focus on kind of identifying their needs, having them set goals for themselves and kind of help establish a plan for how they exit homelessness. We tell the women, I can't work harder than you on this, so we partner with them and really feel like we, collaborate with the women as we come up with a plan for how they exit homelessness on their terms and on their timeline.
That's really important because I do think they've been pushed around so much.
Yes.
And they've been told what to do that it gives them so much such a boost for them to be able to be a part of the decision making and for them to take ownership of it. I think is a huge step in the process. I want to talk a little bit about community because I know community is really important. These women are coming in from trauma, from sleeping on the streets, and they have no one around them. They have no support community. And I envision what you guys are doing inside the Women's Center is creating that community for them. With other women in the program.
Absolutely. So like I said, there are about 100 women there each day. So they build a tight-knit community within themselves. And then they go around and they rely heavily on one another to get around. Recently, we had an older woman, and we're seeing the women that we work with, they're getting older. And she was exhibiting signs of early dementia. And so one of the women that was with her really served as her guide as she went through Raleigh and helped make sure she got to the shelter she needed to each night. So they take really good care of one another. And then while they're there with us, we try to take good care of all of them. It really does feel like a family. A lot of times, sometimes it's like siblings where they're kind of bickering with each other. But then every day when they leave, there are a bunch of them that tell us on the staff, love you, see you tomorrow, just like you would say to your kids. Same thing I said to my son before I left, love you, see you in a bit. So it really is kind of heartwarming to see that happen. And it's sad sometimes when we see them leave because we've grown accustomed to seeing them so often. So it's really mixed emotions as they get
It's
housed.
bittersweet, I would
It is.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then after they're housed, what are some of the programs that you're leaning into to help them with budgeting and, learning to cook and do all of the things that we take for granted, right?
Yes.
Balance a checkbook,
Yeah.
open a checking account.
Again, we rely on partners for this. So before they get housed, we offer a program through Triangle Family Services called Ready to Rent. So that covers budgeting. That kind of really, the women graduate from the program with a certificate. So they have all of the very important parts of being successful renters. They've gone through training on that and they've learned a lot about that. And then after they get housed, a lot of the women are waiting on food stamps if they're eligible. Others we found because of criminal history, they're unable to receive food stamps. So we have a small in-house food pantry where as women are waiting for food or if their food stamps run out before the month does, we can supplement the food and make sure that they are fed each month. I don't want food insecurity to be a reason that they end up losing their permanent stable housing. So really offering those aftercare and wraparound services to ensure that the women are stably housed and permanently housed.
Yeah, that's so important because I could only imagine to get into a house that you think is permanent and start to build your life there and then realize that it's just not something that you could to fail at. That would be really difficult.
And it's re-traumatizing.
It is, and it also carries a little bit of shame with it.
Okay.
And so I could see a woman that has come through all of these programs, gotten all of this help, feeling like a complete failure and not wanting to say anything.
That's right.
Because she's ashamed, versus coming to you and saying, "Hey, this is what's happening. Where do I go from here?" And I think the services piece of it is so important because it is really hard to navigate it, even when you know what you're doing, right?
Right.
When you're coming in from a lens of, I don't even know where to start, it's really challenging as well. So
Absolutely. And truly the team at the Women's Center, I've been blessed in the year that I've been there to have the team that we have in place. Mm-hmm. They really do all the heavy lifting on helping make sure these women get housed, stay housed, and receive, the type of interventions that they need, whether it be behavioral health interventions. We're seeing that mental health, severe and persistent mental health and mental illness is a big part of kind of what brings people to homelessness. So if we can connect them with services that will help them in that respect, that ultimately helps them move towards housing as well.
I was on the Life Skills Foundation board for a little while in Durham, and I didn't realize, but one of the things that is crucial to mental health is nutrition, especially when people have underlying health conditions, which a lot of them do because they're not getting stable medical care. So they may have diabetes and not know it, or and then they're not eating well, and their nutrition is not good, and it exacerbates it, and they literally just lose it.
That's right.
And it's so preventable just with insulin.
That's right.
It's amazing to me. So what's next for Women's Center? What are your big dreams? I want to hear about those.
So we recently opened the Safe Haven overnight shelter, and in that we have 11 beds, and we're prioritizing, again, women with severe persistent mental illness so that we can work with them intensively while they're there, provide them that nutritious food that they otherwise may not have access to, and then work with them to come up with a plan for permanent housing and whatever intervention that may look like for them. So that is 2 months old at this point. So we are looking to bring that online and make sure we stay at capacity on that, and we're able to help as many women as possible with that. And we really want to create a national model that can be replicated across the country on this. So I think over the next year, we'll really focus on making sure our Safe Haven is a success, and then hopefully expanding it so that we can help even more women here in the Triangle and ultimately across the country.
How many single women do you feel like there are in Wake County that are homeless
There are
or facing housing insecurity?
I know that the number we see each day are a small number. So far this year, we've already serviced and seen more than 1,600 women.
Wow.
So that's from January 1st to today. We've seen more than 1,600 women come in. And Wake County recently did an unsheltered facility study, and the number of single individuals experiencing homelessness is increasing dramatically. So I think that is one of the largest fastest growing populations in the homeless population. So the numbers are increasing dramatically of single women.
You know, it's one of the things that I'm the most concerned with, and I'm in real estate, I'm in development. Like, I love seeing places grow. But if somebody once asked me, what is the biggest problem that you see on the horizon for Raleigh? And it is affordable housing.
100%.
Raleigh has historically been known as a community that is very affordable to live in. And now with the influx and the growth that we're having, it's just becoming a little bit out of reach. And, we've just started working with a new developer who's really passionate about making sure that people can buy a home. And for single people, it is really difficult because you're dealing with one income. It's hard to rent, it's hard to buy, and we all know buying is the way that you want to go, right? You
Correct.
only want to stay in the rental cycle for so long. But if they're not communing up and renting with roommates or buying with partners, it's very difficult on a one income to be able to qualify for a house that's remotely in an area of Raleigh that makes sense. So,
Agreed. And, in Raleigh, that's where, the critical mass of jobs are. And that's where the infrastructure exists, the transit exists to get people from their housing to their jobs. So if you're not able to buy something here in Raleigh or afford something in Raleigh, then that kind of precludes you from doing that in other areas.
Absolutely.
What we have seen is at the Women's Center, we have a transitional housing program. So the women will share some living space.
Love that.
So we have 2 houses. We've worked with a fabulous landlord on that that's renting 2 houses to us. And so we've got 3 women in each house.
Wonderful.
And so that is time limited. And so that enables them to save up money so that they can, begin saving money for down payments, deposits, whatever they need in order to get to their next housing, stable housing situation that they're able to afford. And so we're seeing that actually works best for us as a provider as well. So shared housing is a huge thing. And I know that there are a number of affordable housing options coming online in the next year. And I would encourage anyone that's interested in, or contemplating bringing additional units online to do that sooner rather than later. There certainly is pent-up demand for it right now.
For sure. We're definitely seeing that. We're really excited about this one. So tell us what we can do to help. What do you need?
I think our greatest need is probably 2 or 3 different things. First of all, volunteers. Volunteers make everything happen at the Women's Center. We rely on volunteers to provide breakfast and lunch each day. So if you're interested in partnering with us on that, go to our website. It's wcwc.org, and you can sign up to volunteer. If you're not able to provide breakfast or lunch, you can certainly volunteer in our warehouse. We receive lots of donations of goods that we ultimately just give to the women, so hygiene products, clothing, things like that. You can certainly make donations. We rely heavily on our community to keep all of the work that we're doing afloat. And then, like I mentioned, make in-kind gifts and donations. So as you are cleaning out your closet and getting ready for the next season, please bring over your gently used clothing for the women. We have a small selection of clothing that are male clothing for individuals that, are more comfortable wearing men's clothing. So we have, a great need for that. And that's kind of an ongoing need, just given the number of women that we see and, the fact that they need clothes regularly. So any of those 3 ways would be fantastic.
I love that because for those of you who are listening, you have a way to give something you already have. You have a way to give something that you've earned, and you have a way to give your time. And I think it's beautiful to be able to fill a gap where you feel like you can fill a gap, but knowing the need is out there is really important. And I've enjoyed this conversation so much with you today. Thank you for all that you do, and I can't wait to talk more about Safe Haven and hear how that goes. And the Coley group certainly will be over there volunteering and helping to round up supplies as people start to clean their closets out with the season change. And we're looking forward to partnering with you all to help you. So where can everyone find you?
So you can find us on Facebook. We've got a large presence on Facebook. So again, facebook.com/Women's Center. And then Women's Center is located at 2200 New Bern Avenue. Donations are accepted Monday through Friday from 10 to 2. Please stop by side door and drop those off. And then you're certainly welcome. We'd love to have you all come by for a tour and see the space that we have and the work that happens each day. And then again on our website at wcwc.org.
And we're going to link all of those below. And for those of you out there listening, We would love your support in supporting such an incredible cause that helps lift other women up. And I'm so grateful that you joined us today for this fabulous conversation. Amy, thank you so much for coming and sharing your passion with us. You know, Amy and I believe that Raleigh is a pretty awesome place to live. And we hope that you see through this podcast that the people, the places, and the community and the compassion that is in Raleigh is second to none. If you're thinking about making a move in this market, we would love to be your resource. You can reach us at thecoleygroup.com, and we'll see you in the next episode of The Best of Raleigh, dropping every Friday on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. See you later.
Thank you.
That was awesome.